AdSense is a product that allows advertisers to place their ads anywhere on the internet right next to content that is relevant to the product. Online publishers also benefit because ads are passed on, a large share of it is passed on to online publishers. So they get to their digital assets as well. So it's an ecosystem which brings together end users who might be interested in a particular product or service, advertisers who want to communicate to that particular end user, and online publishers or websites who have content that is relevant to that particular product or service. The type of ads that run under the AdSense program can cover a full gamut, ranging from simple text ads, where the payment model may be cost per click, all the way to image ads, where the payment model might be based on cost per 1,000 views of that particular ad. And the reason we offer all of this variety is marketers ask for it. Depending on where they are in their particular marketing cycle, they may want to use one particular ad and one particular payment format. So if you are in the early part of the demand cycle, you may just want to run an image ad where you want a lot of people to see the ad and build awareness of the product. Further down the cycle, where you want more engagement with your customer, you may run a different type of ad where you look for to educating the customer. And then further along the demand chain, when you're ready to complete a transaction, or the user to complete a transaction, you may run simple text ads where on the content network, where the end user will come and complete the transaction. So all of these things are possible.
And so what an advertiser can do today, they could choose to have a cost per click ad, but if they prefer to have more of a branding type campaign, they can have a cost per impression campaign as well at the same time. And in these types of instances, they can choose to run on certain websites, which either Google can pick for them based on what we think is relevant to their offer, or they can come to us and specifically say, well, I think my consumers, based on demographic data that I have, are likely to be visiting websites X, Y, and Z, and then they can specifically target those websites as well. Furthermore, now with YouTube in the mix, we can do video ads on the YouTube network. And one of the latest developments that we've had, which I think is fantastic, are the gadget ads. And these are almost like little web pages that you can syndicate out to other websites, and then they can put them on a page of content. Looking at the way that advertisers reach their target today versus in the past they would just go to the four big networks, the television networks, and it would be a very simple buy. Today what you're seeing though is people are not just using cable TV, which has like 200 channels, but now they're on YouTube. And YouTube, as you all know, there's millions and millions of videos. Now that Google owns YouTube, there's obviously new opportunities there for advertisers to reach any of the users looking at these millions of videos that have been posted. And there's a number of ways that we offer advertisers to make an impact with consumers. One of them is sponsoring a contest. Another one is doing overlay ads. So on top of a video, without actually pausing or interrupting the user experience, we can show a promotional message. And then there might also be opportunities to show ads on pages about specific videos.
People ask us about YouTube. Why YouTube? Well, YouTube is all about another form of communication and information. We want to bring that information online as much as possible, make that searchable, indexable. It's an amazing amount of people today that go to YouTube for just training information. You're interested in learning how to, garden or do something in particular. You'll be surprised how many people have created videos out there that can give you basic information on what it is you're interested in learning about. There's a noticeable shift in people, how they're spending the composition of their leisure time, and a greater and greater proportion is going to online. And as such, we're beginning to see more and more marketers say, this is an important part of the media mix that I need to be a part of as well. If I want to reach consumers, a greater share of time is being spent online, I need to have my message in front of them there as well.
The way Google does its marketing, we take a very subtle approach that we, to a large extent, allow the product and user experience to speak for itself. It is our belief that if we respect the needs of our users and our customers and give them products that offer real value to them, they will do the marketing on our behalf by talking about the product, by talking about their entire experience itself. So we approach marketing from the point of view that the user experience or the customer experience is most important. And we always say the user's need come first, everything else will follow. And that seems to bear itself out over and over again. And driving innovation with the needs of the end user in mind has been an important part of Google's DNA itself. If you work in the product organization at Google, your work is never done. You build a product as best as you can, and you try it out. Take the feedback on a continuous basis that is improved, and we keep reintroducing and relaunching a better, improved product on a continual basis.
One of the most important projects that I am personally involved with at Google is making sure that the ads are very relevant. And we do this by measuring the quality of those ads. And the reason why that's important is because it really enables the user to keep trusting Google. And one thing that we do with the ads is we actually score them based on quality, based on relevance, to make sure that the best ads go to the top of the page and the user gets the most relevant results. And at the end of the day, that's very important for Google because it means that users keep coming back to us.
So when we look at Google's brand and the depth to which it has permeated cultures, starting in America, of course, and spreading throughout the world, so that practically anywhere you go, when people hear Google, they feel good. They know what Google stands for. They know what Google does. This is an amazing feat for a company that started less than a decade ago. When we, those of us who work at Google, do our work every day, we're thinking specifically about the Google brand. How can we improve it? How can we help the Google brand be sustainable, remain loved? But I think what's particularly interesting is that when we think of Google internally, we think more of what's called Googliness. We think of doing right by our users, building products that, as Larry and Sergey say, will not just affect 1,000 people or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, but will affect millions of people around the world.
If you talk to some of our sales heads in the organization, we're spending time with the largest marketers in the world now, they'll say to us that they typically sit down with the CMO of most organizations, and the CMO has been schooled very much in more traditional advertising mechanisms. They've gotten educated on online advertising in the last 10 years substantially, and they've learned a lot about search in the last few years. They've all looked at search and said, wow, I love the metrics I'm getting back about this. The measurability is fantastic. How can you help me understand in the same way that you're telling me how search is working well for me in my other forms of media as well? The demand is significant today for much more data, much more accountability in advertising that's ever existed before. And I think search advertising has been very much a vehicle for forcing that discussion at the CMO levels in many companies across the country and across the world. And as a result, I think we're becoming stronger for it. Other ad providers are becoming stronger for it because they're all demanding more data and more data to make decisions about how they spend those marketing dollars. An interesting aside is that people often come up to me about advertising and say, well, why don't you just show more ads on the pages at Google? You'd make more money. And that's really counterintuitive to the way we think. We usually think about it from the perspective of what is it that consumers want first, whether it be what we would call the organic or the natural search results on the left-hand side of a page, and what do they want out of commercial results, the advertisements that we show on the right-hand side of the page. And we never talk about an ad product and releasing a new ad product from the perspective of it will just make us more money. We talk more about why does it do the right thing for a consumer first, and in the end, we'll figure out the right way to monetize this product over time.
There are a couple of big trends that are noticeable. One is the number of people who are coming online. Right now, the number is estimated to be about 1 billion, but very soon it's going to cover larger and larger parts of the human population. Second is the amount of time end users are spending around online, because they're able to access it in a variety of different devices and a variety of different contexts. And the third is the level of interactivity that is coming to online content, again in a number of different contexts. So where I see online advertising going is that the ability for marketers to reach their audience across a wide variety of contexts will only continue to increase. They will have more interactivity as they go forward, and they will have an extreme amount of trackability and measurability. The sum total of all this, what we want to offer to advertisers is a dashboard, if you will, where they can actually go and see how they're reaching their audience across a wide variety of medium, whether it's online and offline, and what level of relationship they're building with their core customers around the main products and services across the entire demand chain, from the point they build awareness all the way till when they fulfill a demand.
part of our objective long-term in advertising at Google is to be able to help those marketers be more effective in understanding the media mix and understand how to allocate their dollars. I mean, that's really the challenge that we have for marketers today. They come to us and say, search is working beautifully for us. We have these other forms of media, these other objectives that we have in advertising. Can you, Google, use the engineering know-how that you have to help us build dashboards, metrics, other capabilities that help us manage that media mix more efficiently? You know, our founders are often famous for saying that we're at a really early stage in terms of search still. There's a lot to be done to understand exactly what you're looking for, or intuiting ahead of time before you actually type in something what it is you're looking for, or interpreting from the written word that you type in what you're really looking for. That's a hard problem sometimes. There's a lot of semantics involved in that. We have the same challenge on the advertising side. A lot of this is about trying to predict what's the right commercial result to provide to you at the right moment in time. And we are investing more and more and more in our prediction models. In many ways, what's been unique about Google, ironically, is that it actually doesn't seem that different today from what it did 6 years ago to me. And I think that's part of the recipe of what's worked well about Google. And part of that is the belief of the founders in how they run this company and how they're involved in the decision-making that goes throughout this company.
Well, I'm very passionate about what I do because product marketing plays a very unique role at Google. It sits at the center, at the very heart of a lot of things that Google does. We work closely with the product managers and the engineers in driving innovation and product strategy. We are in close touch with the customers in the marketplace, so we have a sense of the pulse in the marketplace and pass on information or signals that we pick up into the product development process.
We're working hard, but we're also playing hard. We're having a lot of fun really building new products at a fantastic pace and doing some things that we think are really great for advertisers, users, and just the world in general.
Why do so many of us think that Google has become as big, as important, and essentially as loved as it is today? And I think the core reasons come back to a sense of simplicity, comprehensiveness, respect. A source, a company that is effective, efficient, and trustworthy.